Hello everyone, Rurikhan here, and today I'm bringing you another edition of Kast. If I remember correctly, this should be Kast number 5. I think that's actually a good thing that I never know the number of which Kast it actually is, because it kind of gives you always the same intro. I'm always like, I wonder, is this number 5, number 6? Or maybe it just shows that I'm really not that well organized with this kind of stuff. But anyways, in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the latest iteration of Devil May Cry, a little bit about Terra, Monster Hunter, PlayStation Vita recording, and Dead Space 3. So it's probably not really going to be a really big episode, and I might even do. I'm trying to do these more often and not as lengthy, but as usual, things don't always go as I would like them to, but anyways, that's just the way it goes. So anyways, and I've said anyways like 4 or 5 times now. Damn it. I'm just terrible. So the footage that you're watching in the background right now, if I've done everything correctly, should be Devil May Cry. And why do I want to talk a little bit about Devil May Cry? Well, not really Devil May Cry, it's DMC Devil May Cry, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's the latest version, the 2012, I think? It came out in 2012, right? 2012 version of Devil May Cry. And why do I want to talk about it? I want to talk about it because a lot of people have been really outspoken against this game, as far as I can tell. And I just have to say that I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree. Now, understand, doesn't mean that I don't respect your opinion. I do. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, I don't really agree with a lot of the negativity that's getting associated with this title. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Devil May Cry. I like the style. I like the genre. I like just about everything about Devil May Cry, but like I've mentioned previously, the only one I really played to some extension was Devil May Cry 4, and I was very disappointed with it because of the way they handled things, because like I said, it's the whole thing about Devil May Cry is learning how to do combos and whatnot, and playing and all that, basically mastering the combo system. And I didn't like the fact that in Devil May Cry 4, what they did was they basically, at midway through the game or whatever, it's like, now you're going to play as Dante, and everything changes, and I was just like really frustrated with that. Particularly also because you were basically fighting the same bosses you had been fighting up until that point, but in reverse, which is pretty artificial game extension in my opinion. So I didn't really had a good experience with Devil May Cry 4. Again, I can't really say much about Devil May Cry 1, 2, or 3 because I haven't played those games all that much, so I don't know what exactly I could contribute to that. But on this one, I actually played it all the way because it kind of hooked me, and I just started playing through it, and I played all the way. And Nephilim difficulty, it was challenging. It wasn't ridiculously hard or anything like that. It was challenging. As I've mentioned previously when I talked about Devil May Cry, I would have to say that my main complaint about the game is the combo mechanic, because it seems it's very easy to get to S. As a matter of fact, a lot of times I remember that one of my favorite weapons in the game is a weapon that you get which basically transforms Dante's fists into rock, and you just punch the crap out of people with your rock fists. And I remember in some occasions what happened was, like, I would jump, I'd do the double jump thing, and then I'd charge up a ground slam attack with the fists, and I remember going from like C to double S with one of those attacks, and I'm like, this doesn't really feel right. Like, I'm climbing through combos just by jumping and slamming down into the ground, which is not really very challenging. So it has that problem with the combo system. Apart from that, I have to say the combat is very satisfying. I like the camera work behind it. Every time you finish like a combat sequence, there's a very satisfying cinematic finish, like they'll slow-mo your last hit on the enemy and stuff like that. I really like the combat of the game. I just like it. I realize that the Devil May Cry fans, hardcore fans of the franchise, the combat is oversimplified. But that's the thing. When I came into Devil May Cry 4, the combat was overcomplicated. Like, needlessly overcomplicated, at least in my opinion. And I felt it was a lot easier to just get into DMC and then start working your way through the combos and whatnot. I don't know. I think that as an entry level to the series, I'm going to have to go ahead and say that I think the game is great. And I basically advise anyone who has any interest in that particular game to just go ahead and get it, because I had a blast. I just had a blast playing through the game, and I can't really just say that the game is crap, despite the fact of what everyone else is saying about the game. Like several people saying, oh, Dante is so emo. He's not emo at all. Like, I don't know what game you're playing, but in the storyline that I played in DMC, Dante is not emo at all. He's just the kind of guy that, like, doesn't give a crap, which, according to what I hear, that's kind of like what Dante is supposed to be in the first place. So I don't know exactly why are people going so ballistic about it. To be honest, the whole Dante thing seemed fine. There was a little bit too much profanity usage maybe, but personally, I don't give a damn about that. I'll be really honest. I really don't care about if people use profanity in games or not. As a matter of fact, a long time ago, I actually made a video on my views on profanity and stuff like that. And the short version is, they're just words. They're just words. That they have no mystical meaning. They're no mystical taboo words. They're just words like any other word. So honestly, I don't care about profanity or anything like that. So I thought that was pretty fine. I also have to say that in regards to level design, it has some of the most creative levels that I've seen in the video game industry in quite some time, because there's a lot of levels that are extremely creative. I mean, boss fights, some of them are creative as well. Some of them are pretty basic. But the whole point of it is there's some crazy level design with the mechanic that they did with Limbo and all that stuff. I mean, I just have to say, I think that stuff is amazing. Like, I don't know, I liked it. I really liked it. And it always hurts me to see a game that I really liked and people are just so outspoken against it, or people don't like it. I mean, two games that I've really enjoyed and really had a good time playing are two games that have not really been well received in the public. One of them is this, Devil May Cry. The other one's Darksiders 2, which had almost no support from the public whatsoever. Everyone's just waiting to grab it from a bargain bin or something like that, which I don't get it. It's like, how is Devil May Cry or Darksiders 2 worth less than other games that have been released? They are two very complete games. Very good games, if I'm to be completely honest. And I don't get it. It seems that everyone is just waiting for the next, I don't know, when you're talking about RPGs, everyone's waiting for the next Skyrim. When you're talking about MMOs, everybody's waiting for the next World of Warcraft. And when you're talking about shooters, everybody's waiting for the next Call of Duty. And it seems the whole gaming industry is just like friggin', you know how they do with donkeys? They put those blinders on and they can only look forward. It kind of seems that the gaming industry and the gaming audience in general is kind of going that direction. And it's really disappointing. I mean, stretch your horizons a little bit. There are some really good games out there that aren't really getting the coverage they deserve. So anyways, that's what I had to say about Devil May Cry, and I managed to jab a little bit of Darksiders 2 in there as well. Now I want to talk a little bit about Terra. Why am I talking about Terra? Well, I've been trying Terra out again. I played Terra during the beta, and I didn't really get into it, as you guys probably know by now. And the reason I didn't get into it is because it had a lot of grinding. It had so much grinding that I just couldn't bear it anymore. And obviously at the time the game came out, I'm like, what, I'm going to pay $15 a month or whatever to just be here and grind? Not interested. So now Terra has gone free to play, and I've been playing it a little bit. I've been checking it out. I've been playing a Lancer. But I started playing in European servers, which just today I've heard that European servers are actually not that great. So basically I should be playing in the US servers. So I'm re-downloading the client. I'm going to play in US servers. I'm probably going to be playing a Lancer, either a Lancer or a Warrior. I haven't really made up my mind yet. The race is most definitely going to be a Baraka, because they're the ones who look like dwarves the most. So that's pretty much all there is to it. I still feel that there is lots of grinding in Terra, but what I tend to do is I grab one of the series that I want to watch or rewatch, because I have a tendency to rewatch series a lot. Like, for instance, one of the series that I really love TV series that I really, really loved was Prison Break. And I think I'm currently like on my 4th watching session, so to speak, where I just watch through the whole thing. And it's useful because sometimes I'm editing video and whatnot, and while I'm editing and doing stuff that doesn't really require me to be listening to things, I'll just put it in a little screen next to Adobe Premiere and just be editing and watching some Prison Break and stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty much what I plan on doing with Terra. I'm going to be going through the grind while watching a series or a movie or something like that, and just handle the grinding. And the reason why I'm going to put myself through the grind is because I wasn't aware of this, but apparently Terra does have a group finder. So I want to go ahead and get some dungeons going, you know, maybe get some tanking going or healing or something like that, and make a couple of videos for you guys with dungeons from Terra. Leave me your feedback on that if you guys want to watch that or not. But I don't plan on devoting too much time into it, you know, getting into it World of Warcraft style, but I have to admit, I do miss playing an MMO. So Terra, I'm going to try fill that gap with Terra. And I already told you guys why I can't currently get into Guild Wars 2. Like I said, still doesn't have a group finder. I didn't start up with the guild, and I feel that really dragged me down, and I'm just kind of not really excited about Guild Wars 2 right now. But I've already spoken about that in a previous video, but just wanted to reiterate the main reasons why. If I miss an MMO, why don't I just play Guild Wars 2? That's why. So probably depending on how much grinding I get done and if I actually enjoy the game enough or not, you guys might be seeing some Terra videos coming to the channel soon. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about Monster Hunter because I haven't really been doing a lot of content for Monster Hunter, and I wanted to. The problem is I haven't really been playing Monster Hunter much because I'm a little bit disappointed with the fact that the only versions I have access to of Monster Hunter are Freedom Unite and Monster Hunter Tri, and both those versions are like, if not 4 years old, they're getting pretty close to 4 years old or more. I believe Freedom Unite is well over 4 years old, and Monster Hunter Tri is about to reach its fourth birthday. And it's just disappointing, you know, because I mean, on one hand, Monster Hunter Tri, it's being emulated, because obviously I recorded Monster Hunter Tri once using my Wii, and the footage looked like shit. I mean, I'll have to be honest, it just looked like total ass. It was crap. And so the emulated version actually looks pretty good. So that's kind of why I'm playing the emulated version. And regarding Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, I'm currently not going to be recording any more Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, and I will tell you why in the next topic. But yeah, that's basically the main reason I haven't been doing a lot of Monster Hunter videos, is because I'm just disappointed with the fact that these are really old versions. Like, I want a current or next generation Monster Hunter in my console. Like, do a Monster Hunter for the PlayStation 4, do a Monster Hunter for the PlayStation 3, do a Monster Hunter for the PC. Don't force me to buy a Wii U. Really don't. Because, I mean, come on. It's a third-party game, okay? It's not supposed to be a console exclusive, not to mention that you have the most hardcore game, well, not the most, but one of the most hardcore games ever made, being marketed to one of the most casual gaming markets ever. What's wrong with you, Capcom? Seriously, get your heads out of your asses. And I realize that some people are actually upset with the fact that I don't like the Wii U, but I've been burned with the Wii. I was really burned with the Wii. At least I felt burned with my Wii. And that's why Nintendo's not really going to get my support on the Wii U. That's all I'm going to say about that. I mean, if you guys are having a good experience with the Wii U, don't let the fact that I don't like it deter you from having a good experience with it. Just keep on playing, keep on rocking, that's it. But me personally, I really don't want to get into the Wii U, so that's it. Anyways, like I said, I wanted to talk a little bit about PlayStation Vita recording as well, and the fact that it is quite simply too frustrating for me to continue to record PlayStation Vita. I mean, my desk right now is a complete mess of wires so that I can turn on my camera, so that I can have audio piped through the PlayStation Vita into the camera, so that it's a crap ton of cables on my desk right now, and I'm really tired of that. I want to just clean this mess up, and in order to do that, basically what's going to happen is I'm going to stop recording PlayStation Vita, for now anyways, And there are several reasons for this. Now, one of them, as you guys probably notice, is that the quality is not up to my usual standards. I mean, I can get some decent quality out of the Vita, but it's not good enough. It's really not that good. And it's kind of like I would almost let it slide due to the fact that I am doing recording through a camera and all that stuff. But the problem is not just that, because on top of the fact that the quality is not that good, the gameplay footage that I get out of it is not that good either, because I'm gripping the Vita in awkward ways. Like, I have to put the Vita on that ghetto stand I've shown you guys a whole bunch of times. I don't want to show it again. And putting the Vita there and then trying to play the game, it just doesn't work. Here's the thing. I've actually been playing a lot of Vita. You guys might not know this because I haven't made a lot of videos about it, but I've been playing a lot of Vita, especially since they've released Wipeout 2048, which, as you guys know, Wipeout 2048 is one of my favorite, I mean, the Wipeout series is one of my favorite franchises of all times. It is one of the reasons why I got into the PlayStation platform to begin with, and now that I have access to 2048, I've just been playing the crap out of that game. I love Wipeout, and I wanted to do a video on it, and what ended up happening was basically the video was 80% footage of me slamming my my craft against walls. And the reason for that is quite simple, because I can't grip the Vita properly, and Wipeout is a pretty twitchy racer. Like, you need to have all, you can barely play it well when you are gripping the Vita in a good position, because it's a pretty hard game to master. And I mean, it's just gonna look like ass if I'm putting the Vita on a stand, and all you guys are really gonna see is me slamming against walls because I can't, like, press the handbrakes at the proper timing. The air brakes at proper timings. It's just so, it was so frustrating that I just decided, look, I'm done. I can't record this anymore. You guys probably noticed as well in the Daimyo Hermitar or whatever, the crab thing I killed in Monster Hunter. You guys probably noticed that several times I took hits that no really decent Monster Hunter player would ever take those hits. That's because it's awkward to play like that. It's very, very awkward to play while you're trying to grip your Vita through some kind of a cradle setup. And it's just the thing that really frustrates me is the fact that I really want to record Soul Sacrifice, and I'm probably not going to be able to, because I've just taken the decision right now. It's like, it's done. Unless something changes, I can't record this device anymore because it's too frustrating, it takes too long, and I tend to lose focus. Because here's what happens. I'm recording, right? Recording the Vita. I'm gripping it in an awkward way, and while I'm recording the Vita, I'm also looking at the viewfinder through my microphone pop filter. Okay, so I gotta be careful when I'm moving. I can't touch the camera, I can't touch my microphone, and I have to constantly look at the viewport to make sure that the fact that I'm pressing buttons, I haven't slightly moved my Vita in the cradle so that the footage looks pretty decent. And it's so stressful to, while you're doing all of these things, still be thinking about commentary. It is just way too stressful. So it's just like, I'm done. I'm stressing out far too much with this, so either something changes or I'm just going to give up on it, because I love playing my Vita. You guys need to understand this. I'm not saying the Vita is a bad device. The Vita is a great device. I love playing it. I'm very happy with my purchase. I have, like a lot of people complain, it doesn't have a decent library of games. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I have tons of games to play. I mean, I don't know if people just grab a Vita and play through everything in a single session. I don't know how they do that, because, like, I mean, just this Gaia 3 can keep me occupied for, like, months, easy. And then there's also the game that I'm playing, Ragnarok Odyssey, which I feel is still a very, very solid game. I just wish I knew someone else with a Vita so that I could play it with them. I mean, now there's also Wipeout 2048, which is amazing. I love it. It's an amazing game. And I mean, there's tons of good games out there. Gravity Rush is amazing. There's tons of good games out there. I don't get why people say it doesn't have a good game library. It actually does. So I really do enjoy the Vita, but I can't record it. I just can't record it unless something changes. And by something change, I mean one of three things has to happen. So, number one, allow people to just use the DualShock controllers with the PlayStation Vita. And why would I say this? What do you mean use the DualShock controllers? How's that going to help you record? Well, it's going to help me record with the fact that I can just set the Vita down anywhere I want and not have to touch it, put a camera directly in front of it so I will not have to be like holding it all awkwardly like and stuff. And then I can just have the controller and I can play without even touching the Vita. So I can ensure that the Vita is perfectly in the same position throughout the whole video session. If I could just do that, that would be enough to let me keep on recording Vita, because I can get better gaming performance out of it. But by better gaming performance, I mean better gameplay performance. Like I wouldn't be doing stupid mistakes like the ones you've seen during the Daimyo Hermitar, and several mistakes that you probably noticed as well throughout the Ragnarok Odyssey video. And obviously I would be able to play Wipeout 2048 without actually banging against the walls every 10 seconds. So if they allow me to use a DualShock 3 controller on my Vita, that will allow me to at least record some games. Not all of them, obviously, because several games also have touch controls, and obviously those you will not be able to play with a DualShock 3. But if you just let people play with a DualShock 3, that in of itself is a big improvement. If they don't do that, well, how about the PlayStation Vita streaming footage to the PlayStation 3, and then we can record the PlayStation 3. That's another suggestion that I've made in the past. If that happens, then I can record PlayStation Vita again. And if none of these two happens, then something might happen, because I believe that Sony actually registered some kind of a trademark. I didn't do a lot of research on it, but it is possible that Sony recently registered a trademark, which means that they might be coming out with a Vita that has HDMI out. And if that is the case, I might try and sell my Vita, and with the money that I get from selling that Vita, try and buying a new one. But that all depends on pricing, of course, because if they do something like that, I expect that Vita to not be as highly priced, because at that point you would expect some kind of price drop, because the Vita is what, over 1 year old by now? Or it is over 1 year old, I believe. So I mean, it is time for maybe a little bit of a price adjustment. Don't know. But one of those three things has to happen, otherwise most likely you will not see any footage from me on Soul Sacrifice, which is actually, it really saddens me, but might just be the case. And finally, the last bit of news. It's not really news, it's just more of me replying to you guys. Excuse me, because several of you have expressed your opinions on why I should cover this particular game, and obviously it is Dead Space 3. And I hope that through this video you guys will finally be satisfied, and please stop talking to me about Dead Space 3, because it's not just you. It's like a lot of people in my audience are talking to me about Dead Space 3, and then I have a friend of mine who is a complete and utter maniac about Dead Space 3, who is talking to me about that game all the time, and I keep telling him, look, I can't support that game. I can't support that game. And a lot of people seem not to understand. A lot of people seem to think that I don't like the fact that Dead Space 3 is more action-oriented as opposed to terror-oriented. And it's like, look, I don't really like that fact, but it's not really what's keeping me from getting the game. You need to understand this. I don't think that Dead Space 3 is a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's most likely a pretty good game. But the simple fact of the matter is, let's look at these facts here, which is, this is a game that launched full-priced, okay? It's a full-priced game, which means $60 in the US, or 70 euros if you're in Europe and you're an idiot, because seriously, only idiots would pay 70 euros for a game. But pretty much that is at least in Portugal, that is the standard pricing for a AAA title like a Dead Space 3. If you go to a standard retail shop, they will charge you 70 euros for Dead Space 3, straight up. So, but like I said, this is only for dumb people. Only dumb people actually go to standard retail shops and try to buy games there. If you're actually a smart individual, you'll most likely buy it online somewhere, like there's several stores like Play.com and other places where you can probably get it for 50 euros, more or less, or you can just get it on Steam, which I believe will probably also set you back 50 euros. So let's look at this. This is a full-priced game. I'm just going to use the US connotation now. So it's a full-priced $60 game, right? It launched, and this is in Portugal, because I've heard that in the US it was different, but in Portugal it launched with seven pieces of day one DLC. 7. In the US, I believe, at least I've heard somewhere, I think it was in Axe Factor, which is a podcast that I listen to. and that's X factor, not X factor, you know, as in an axe, a dwarf with an axe factor. So I've heard there, I think, they said that in the US it was released with 11 pieces of Day 1 DLC. So this is a fully priced game, and on release it comes with 11 pieces of DLC. Don't you think that's a little bit too much? Just a little bit. And this is DLC like, oh, why don't you give us $5, and now your scavenge bot can gather more materials, or give us $5, and now your scavenge bot has a personality, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean, or give us $5, and now your bot now has extra carrying capacity, something like that, or give us 15 and get the 3 things. And it's like, wow, really? And then there's like skins and suits and guns and all kinds of stuff that you can buy with Day 1 DLC. And I just think that, look, this is clearly stuff that you've done for your game, and then you stripped it out and you are charging us for it. I think that's a little bit abusive. This right here is a little bit abusive. But okay, I've bought games like this in the past. I understand how it works. But on top of everything, okay, on top of this Day 1 DLC, they're like, oh yeah, it also comes with a microtransaction system. I'm sorry. You mean your fully priced game comes with a microtransaction system inspired by free-to-play MMOs? Let me think about that for a minute. Okay, so tell me, does this microtransaction system, it's like for cosmetic items, right? Oh, no. This is actually for crafting materials that you can use to customize your guns. What? I don't think I heard you right. It must be the headphones or something. Must be not work. You can microtransaction your way into crafting a better gun. So it's like cheating on a single-player game, but you pay for the privilege of cheating. Okay. That's really fucking stupid. So, and please note, I know that you can go through the whole game without touching the microtransaction system, because several of you have told me, but I was already aware of that. Like, I know that you can get through the whole game, you don't have to buy the DLC, you don't have to buy the microtransactions, but at the end of the day, here's something that you guys gotta realize. Basically what you're doing is, when you buy a game like this, is you're telling the industry that it's okay to do these kinds of things. It's okay to have a game with 11 pieces of DLC Day 1. It's okay to have a fully priced game with 11 pieces of Day 1 DLC and microtransaction systems on top of that. It's okay because we will buy it anyways. And I don't know how some people are okay with this, because I'm not. And even if I do ever get the game, for starters, if I do get this game, it's going to be like when it's heavily discounted down the road in some goddamn bargain bin. Or honestly, the thing I wanted to do was to get it in how do you say it? Was to get it used. You know? Get that game used to make sure that no dime would end up in EA's hands for what they've done. And it's just, even if I ever do get this game, I can't support it. I cannot make videos about this game, because this game goes, when it launched, it went against everything that pretty much that I stand for in the game. I'm against Day 1 DLC. I'm against microtransactions on a fully priced game. Are you kidding me? That's retarded. And it's just like, again, let me just explain to you guys. It's not that I don't think it's a good game. I believe it's a good game. It's probably going to be an amazing game. But I can't support it. I just can't do it because it's wrong. What the industry is doing is wrong. And at the end of the day, you vote with your wallet. And a lot of you guys are buying the game. And look, I hold no grudge against people who buy this game. Like, I understand. You guys want to see the ending of the trilogy, all that stuff. I get it. I fully get it. But me personally, I cannot support this game. And I really wish people would understand and respect that and stop harassing me about, dude, make Dead Space 3. You got to buy it. You got to get it. You got to play it. You got to do all these things. Look, I understand that I played through Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2 mostly at the request of the community. I understand I've played through both those games, but, I mean, those games did not do this microtransaction bullshit. And I need to make a statement here that I really believe this is, in fact, bullshit. And I will not stand by it. I will not support it in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, eventually I might get it down the line and play it so that I can also see the ending of the thing. But I'm not going to make videos about it because this is wrong. This is bad business practices. And honestly, we can't support this kind of stuff because who knows what will happen next. Next, we're going to have a game that it's going to cost us like $100, and it's going to have DLC, day one DLC that you got to pay for, and it's going to have microtransactions on top of that, and who knows, maybe it will even come with a subscription fee for a single-player game. You know? You think it doesn't make any sense? Well, guess what? A couple of months ago, microtransactions on a single-player game didn't make any sense either. And by supporting a game like this, that's exactly what you're telling the industry. It's okay to do it. So that's really all I can say. And before you guys get started, no, even despite the fact that the industry is doing this, I will not condone piracy. So don't even go there. I do not condone piracy at all. So at the end of the day, basically, I can't support a game that does so many bad things for the industry. And actually, I have to say that I do miss the days when I could buy a game without fear of not having the full game. I miss those days. You remember the days when you were picking a game and instead of wondering about should I pre-order this from bestbuy.com or pre-order it from GameStop because they have this DLC, but Best Buy has this weapon. Oh, what about Target? Target has the special suit. Don't you guys miss the days where it's like none of that matter? It's like, look, there's a Best Buy next to my house or something. I'll just go and get the game there because it doesn't really matter because I'm going to get the full game regardless of where I buy it. The days where you could just buy a game and not have to worry about, you know, what kind of ridiculous DRM is this game going to place on me, you know? Like, look at Witcher 2, for instance. Witcher 2 had, like, the DRM software was so bad, it was actually holding back the game. Like, it was costing the game like 10 frames a second or something like that. I remember that because I played it when it had the DRM, and when they removed the DRM, you could see a ridiculous performance boost. And it's like basically CDR Project Red even said, look, we're never going to do this again because this is retarded. And to be completely honest, people just break DRM anyways. So it doesn't really matter. And these days, it's like there's so many things that the gaming industry is doing wrong that when something like this happens, I personally can't bring myself to support it. That's pretty much what I had to talk about on this Kast. As usual, leave me your feedback and comments on the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.